I worked with the Stone edition, which was illuminated with wonderful commentary, and whenever I had a question, I would email a message to Singer, and we would discuss the text in detail. I also had passionate discussions with the rabbi, scholar, and activist Arthur Hertzberg, especially about the lives of King David and King Solomon. These energetic exchanges were my first taste of what would become a vital and sustaining practice of Jewish text study. About this same time, I met my current wife, the artist Jan Aronson. Jan came from a non-observant but nonetheless committed New Orleans Jewish family. We had both been divorced before and were very aware of what we wanted in a marriage and how to protect it. An important element for Jan was to create a Jewish home, something she had not done in her first marriage. Given my rising curiosity about Judaism, I was willing to go along. To my surprise, when she lit the Shabbat candles on Friday night and said the ancient prayer, I found myself deeply moved. Perhaps it was hearing the Hebrew of my childhood, a language that once sounded rote and deadening to my ear, but was now magically alive. Or maybe it was the peaceful feeling the twin flames ushered into our home, or the graceful ballet of Jan's hands as they circled the candles, welcoming the spirit of Shabbat. These feelings were repeated when I raised my silver Kiddush cup and sang the blessing over the wine, beginning with Yom HaShishi, the sixth day. Today, I am grateful for these various events that inspired my Jewish journey. A journey that, step by step, has led me from a dismissive attitude toward Judaism to one of joyous embrace. During the course of this journey, I discovered that even for a non-religious Jew like me who rejects the notion of a supernatural God acting on our behalf, Judaism remains an immensely rich enterprise. Not surprisingly, the more I learned about this ancient tradition, from its celebration of rebels and emphasis on ethics, questioning, community, and family, to its beautifully crafted holidays and life cycle events that provide us with an intense framework for living, the more I wanted to know. Like an orchard, Judaism has deep roots and provides essential nourishment. Having eaten of its fruits, I am a better person, and as a result, my home is a more interesting, more loving, and more understanding place. In my parents' generation, being Jewish was not a choice. It was a condition of life, defined by the ties of history and community that endured among immigrants, and by the anti-Semitism that was still prevalent. Now young Jews can choose whether or not to hold on to their Jewish practice, which to many can seem antiquated, patriarchal, and distant from their own lives and values. As a Jewish leader, I am well aware that unless we win over our disinterested Jews, a nearly 4,000-year-old civilization of tremendous beauty and worth could end up in the dustbin of history. Another possibility that troubles me is that due to a high birth rate among the ultra-Orthodox, this great civilization could be redefined by those who have chosen to turn their backs on a good part of the modern world. Though the Jewish religion has always contained a strain of zealotry, it has an even more powerful tradition of openness, inclusiveness, and questioning. I feel that Judaism is too precious a thing to lose. My feelings on this topic run so deep that my words sometimes feel like a cri de coeur, an impassioned plea of the heart. For the past quarter of a century, much of my advocacy has been in service of imperiled Jews and Jewish communities around the world. More recently, this desire has broadened to include the saving of cultural Judaism itself. Given the high assimilation rates in North America, part of my task is to persuade disinterested Jews to take another look. What I envisioned for this book was not a detailed narrative of Jewish belief or practice. Oceans of ink have already been spilled on that topic, and even if this were not the case, I lack the authority to write comprehensively on such topics, as I am not a rabbi, scholar, or educator. However, in my roles as a Jewish activist and philanthropist, I have been steeped in Judaism for more than 25 years. And through this involvement, I developed a deep...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.